The role of the board is directing and protecting. The directing comes through the strategic process, robust discussion on that process, be it long-term vision, be it the short-term strategic actions. And that's a robust discussion that got to keep going on, and that's adding value. Second part is protecting, and that comes through your fiduciary duties out of the Companies Act, to which there's compliance. And the second portion of that is the governance, of which best practice is King 4. The right systems needs to be put in place, and then it's all about monitoring and overseeing. And I think the emphasis, though, if there's going to be value add for boards, is implementation, because that's where it all happens. 80% of the success of an organization is the implementation part. And it surprises me how many guys sit on boards that are actually not up to speed with their fiduciary duties. It's a given, you have to do it, you have to comply. So that's the first takeaway, is fiduciary duties. The second is governance best practice, King 4. What does it consist of? And the beauty about King 4, because you often hear companies saying, or individuals saying, that's for the big corporates. It's actually not. It is the most flexible governance system around. It's that you have to understand it, and then understand how you adapt it for your entity, no matter how big, small, or in which areas it's operating. The flexibility is there, and you'll come away with that understanding. And then the third takeaway is really just the role players. What is the chairman's job? What is the CEO's job? What is the lead independent's job, if you have one? What is the company secretary's job? And the difference between execs and non-execs. What is expected of them? I would recommend it to anybody who's a director at the moment that feels a little uncomfortable in terms of fiduciary duties and governance. I would recommend it to newly appointed directors because it gives you a solid base. I would recommend it to aspiring non-executive directors. And then the last category, which I think is critical, senior executives, because they need to understand why the board functions like it does. When non-executive ask for reports, why? What is the purpose of it? Because they need to understand their role as well. I think it's twofold for myself and other facilitators. One is we take what's happened in the media. So you'll read in the media a lot of what's happening to companies. We take that out, we dissect it, and we then add that into the course as a support to the theory that's being presented. Because everyone can read. So you really have got to add some value in terms of practical examples. So that's the one section where we add value. The second one is personal experiences. Good, bad, right, wrong. We've all been through that, and you learn out of it. I mean, as a prime example, the very first board I got appointed to as a non-exec listed entity, which I chaired, I got fired from. Now that's an experience that you need to understand why. And if anyone needs to know why I got fired, they need to sign up and come on the course. So I stopped working full-time in 2009, and have essentially been sitting on boards as a non-exec since then. There's been a variety of boards. Presently, I still sit on 3 listed entities, being Trellidor, Calgro M3, and Mustec. Diverse, yes, but all industrial type companies, and that's where I basically have got most of my experience at the end of the day, is out of that sector. I also sit on a couple of private company boards. They're not as onerous, as it were, as the listed space, but they bring different dynamics. And I think the exciting part, or what I find coming out of that, is you want to run entities as close to being a private owned entity as possible, but keeping with the disciplines that are required within the listed environment. So can bring those two together into the facilitation process. What this does is it gives you the opportunity to hear people's experiences and also the sharing facility that happens amongst delegates, because we encourage the delegates to share what they've experienced since they've been exposed to boards or as an exec or a non-exec. So those experiences also add a learning. In fact, some of the experiences that we share are actually taken from what delegates have told us has happened during their time on a board or as a senior executive seeing what happened on a board. We've been able to use that, and I use some of the examples with new classes today. My name's Ralph Patmore. I'm one of the subject matter experts for Being a Director 1, and look forward to seeing you on one of the courses.